Okay, as per usual, this one's going to be uploaded into YouTube. Should anything go wrong with Tradingview, the quality has been quite poor since they've updated their servers. So what I'll do is I'll keep this one pretty short. The reason that this one's a bit more ad hoc this evening is that I called a call this morning with our group on this particular move, and there was a little bit of kind of interest around somebody else posting on Twitter that they'd actually taken a move short. I don't know what the actual figures were, um, but I was trying to express the reasons and the logic as to why the move was down to bounce back up in terms of creating the UT. So this was the general idea that I was looking at. You can see the post from here being ultimately the buyer's climax. You can see the time. If I zoom in there, you can see the time, obviously at 20 to 12 my time this afternoon. And the general idea was a little bounce down to move up for the UT. So this basically is what I was looking at. Let's come back to the chart. So on the hour time frame, as you can see, we were looking for the move down from the call, and then ultimately the move back up. It obviously a bit more aggressive than planned there, but ultimately down, up, down, and then ultimately back exactly to the UT level that I'd called, obviously a couple of hours before that. So this actually happened at 8 o'clock my time. Obviously the call was roughly midday, so 8 hours before, and obviously played out. So we've come back down. We've now had obviously the test at the level, which again you can see this was already in that same image sitting there. We had the call for the SOW, had the call for the UT, and obviously the both levels have pinged. If you look at this and just keep a record of that, keep a mental record of this a second, come back obviously to the chart, mental record, this obviously straight across has pinged us there, and straight across pinged us down. So we've gone up and down across obviously the move. So we're obviously looking for the next move. This is now tightened up obviously a little bit shorter. I'd like to pull this over here a bit more. But the general idea now is we're looking for another move up. So I think if I bring in the stochastic indicator, we can clearly see we're going to be slightly range bound on the smaller time frame. This will give us an area of being oversold before ultimately a bit of an explosive move back up to give us the UTAD. And I'd like to see this come back up, possibly overnight, and then ultimately falling itself back down. And again, another perfect kind of channel, clear indication in there, which I've called obviously in our group. What else have we got? We've got the, so I'm going to put the worst wave on. Let's get rid of this one. And the general idea was obviously using the peak here. Let's put this on there. So using the peak at this particular level obviously relates back to this from earlier. We got a false bar in the stochastic itself, which means we are still pretty much range bound as far as I'm concerned. I'm obviously trading on the much higher time frames than ultimately the intraday stuff, but a lot of the group have asked for smaller time frames. So playing this out, I'm actually looking for the move now, like I said, a little bit of a sideways action in the next couple of hours, possibly overnight for me, a nice move up, maybe into tomorrow before getting a nice little high. I think this is going to be another bull trap before a decent breakdown back to test some lowers on the higher time frames. And if I just zoom out and look at the daily, kind of seeing the same. I'll take the drawings off on this one. Kind of seeing the same thing. We're now in the overbought, so another move down on the daily. This is only testing the underside of the bigger schematic in Wyckoff terms, and therefore I still believe we're actually sat in a 4 in terms of Elliott. So pretty much as expected. Um, the next update was we've been asked a couple of times about gold recently. Um, Gold for me is always interesting. It does seem to be very respectful. It's something that I've traded a lot myself personally, but I think in terms of these particular, we'll get rid of this one. In terms of these particular moves, I'm looking at the daily time frame and the weekly breakdown. I made a call again. This one's actually public. I've made a call talking about the respect back in, when was this call? This was on May the 25th. And the general idea behind this particular call was expecting a little push up, so we can expect a little move up um, before ultimately dropping down. I'm actually targeting the center of the regression channel and the X trend, and basically what we're looking for was a bit of a fake up out and then back down, like I said, back from the 25th of May, and we now should be targeting towards the center level. So there's the fake out, obviously sideways rather than up and straight down. But I think for me, we still pretty much starting to break down there. So that's the update on gold. Obviously, Bitcoin the same, and then back to our regular streams and regular times as of tomorrow. So have a good evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow.